Welcome to the Rushmore Show, where we're about to dive into the NFL's rushing legends, revealing the top 4 running backs that left their mark on the gridiron.
Get ready to witness the incredible speed, power, and finesse that define these gridiron giants.
From record-breaking seasons to unforgettable touchdowns, our list is a tribute to the backs who carried their teams to glory.
But this countdown is not just about the numbers. It's a celebration of the heart and soul of the game.
Lace up your cleats, subscribe to our channel, and prepare to relive the breathtaking moments that define the top 4 running backs in NFL history.
Omaha, get ready, because Rushmore starts right now.
Welcome to the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4 and nothing more. We're under the bright lights. It is week 2 of Presidents and Pigskins. It's all about football this month. All about our Rushmore of football things. We love football. We love fantasy football. We are just all about it. Kirk, are you excited for week 2?
Yeah, I'm excited for week 2, but man, how awesome was this weekend? I mean, look, we were at Louisiana RetroCon. Thank you, Davey. Thank you, Nerd Swap. Thank you, BJ and Sean and all the guys we met last year at St. Tammany Collectors Con that we get to hang out with you again this weekend. It was such a blast. Good hanging out with you, Jamie. But look, if you're new here from RetroCon, welcome to the Summit Squad. Welcome to the family. This is football month. And this is not the only thing we do. We actually do video games. We do comic books. We do movies, TV, whatever. But this month, because of football season, we're doing a little football. But man, welcome here. And we have a great episode for you today. Andy, what are we doing?
Well, we think long and hard about all of these different topics that we're going to do. And we're going to talk about a specific position today. And one of those positions that really recently has come under a lot of maybe scrutiny, people thinking about what's the value of this position. Do we pay these guys? Do we not? Do we just do it by committee? And we're talking about the workhorses, man. We're talking about the running backs, our Rushmore of running backs. Now, this is a difficult one. I mean, we say it every week. It's a broken record. Like, it's hard to put these lists together. But, dude, because there's so many running back by committees that happen, every team carries like 4 running backs on their active roster on a Sunday. So there's so many to choose from. But do we go iconic? Do we go personal favorites? Do we do based on stats? What do we do? It is an intense list, but I'm excited for this, man. We're going to hand it off. And we're going to talk about our Rushmore of running backs. Kirk, you like this topic?
Dude, I love it. You mentioned it. It's not just running backs. It's halfbacks. It's fullbacks. It's whatever's in the backfield, dude. Except quarterbacks. We're not calling quarterbacks.
No Lamar today. There's no Lamar.
No Lamar today. No, we're not. This isn't backs because we're not doing defensive backs. I got a nice back, but anyways. Baby back ribs. Hey, but look, I love this topic. Running backs is a big part of the game, and it's one of the biggest reasons I love football. I really gravitated to a bunch of those players, and I'll talk about that in the conversation. But let's not wait much longer. We have our guest ready. He's in the green room. It's time to get him out here. It is time for our Rushmore of running backs. Let's get it.
All right, Summit Squad, let's get into our Rushmore today. But look, it wouldn't be fitting if we were to just do this alone. It's the 1-2 back, but we've got a whole committee here today. We're bringing in a friend, first time on the Rushmore show. Very excited about that.
Kirk, one time.
Who's joining us today?
Yeah, man. So last year, almost a year to the day, I show up at a little school in Lilburn, Georgia, and join their staff. And I was connected with the PE coach there, Justin Banks. Justin, welcome to the show, and tell everybody at the Summit Squad hello.
Hello. Thank you all for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, let me just say this, Justin. I've got about 50% of my viewership in New Orleans. I've got about 50% of my viewership in Atlanta. Andy has almost 100% of his viewership in New Orleans. I just want to apologize to the 75%.
I was about to say they're going to be upset with you all today.
My good friend is all Atlanta.
Upset with you all today.
Atlanta. He is all Atlanta, and he is rocking.
All I'm saying is this. You said you've watched a few episodes. I personally have done a little bit of Atlanta bashing through this time. It's just part of being, and I'm sure in Atlanta you do the New Orleans bashing. It's just part of it. Look, this is what I love about sports. Like, if we all just like the same team, it would be so boring, right?
Like that's why we have to have these rivals. Man. We gotta have these rivals.
So thank you for being on here as much as we've offended.
Hey, look, a huge Braves fan. We're gonna have him back on next time we have baseball around too. But man, Banks, look, we have talked several times about sports, man. You, unfortunately, not like me. I got to rock my Mahomes jersey today in an event for the launch of the new season. You, my friend, get to wear your jersey every single day. So we're always talking about sports and whether it's your the Warriors shirt you got or this. So we're always talking about all these different sports. And I invited you to come on, and I said, man, what's the topic that you want to talk about? You thought about it for a little bit, didn't take long, came back and said, hey, what about running backs? So I was like, man, I love that. So we start off Rosie, and then we move on down through the presidents. Now, Rosie's our number 4. Before you get started, we have our 3-minute countdown for our cycle, and this is going to be our Rosie round. So tell the Summit Squad kind of what you were thinking. Like, why would you pick the running backs? What do you like about football? And then let's do a little criteria. Tell the fans how you were thinking about picking your list.
Once you told me some of the topics that y'all already discussed, I started thinking about, like, what did I like about football? And again, what pulled me into watching football? And as a kid, it was always the running back.
Feel that.
If I played football, all I wanted to do was play the running back position. I don't want to be the running back. Just give me the ball and let me run.
Putting together a list of running backs. There's a ton out there. Look, ChatGPT, there's lists, there's all kinds of stuff. I saw hundreds of great running backs this week.
Yes.
What were you thinking, because for all our new friends, the Rushmore is 4 great presidents. It's not the 4 best presidents. It's 4 great presidents. These are going to be 4 great running backs, but there are 4 great running backs. What did you think of when you were putting that together?
When I put my list together, honestly, it was my 4 favorite running backs.
Yeah.
And as I looked at their stats and looked at everything on them, that's when I started saying, I was like, well, they kind of fall into some of the 4 greatest running backs. So
let's start with your Rosie. I'm going to start the timer and tell us your number 4, the line in the sand. You can't have anybody else. And let's get this thing going.
All right, so my Rosie, it just changed like 5 minutes ago.
Uh-oh.
It just changed. My Rosie it has to be Marshall Faulk. The greatest show on turf.
Greatest show on turf.
Show on turf.
Oh, man, let me tell you about Marshall Faulk. First off, New Orleans boy. All right, let's
there you go.
Let's throw that out there. Then he goes to Indianapolis and then hangs out at St. Louis. And man, the Aztecs got him. He should have went to LSU. I don't know what the heck was going on. He should have been a Tiger all day, every day. Man. What I love about him is not just the greatest show on turf, but he was multi-tooled.
Yeah.
Run. He has touchdown records. He was a great guy. He was a great spokesman for the game. And that greatest show on turf, I'm not a Rams fan. Here's shouting out to you, Ezra. I know you're that's your jam. Ezra is a huge Rams fan. He's from St. Louis. Was not a Rams fan, but the Kurt Warner, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, and Marshall.
That was my favorite. That was my team. That was one of my favorite teams that year.
I could not get enough of it. Andy, you like Marshall?
It took it from my Benjamins. I am as much of not a Falcons fan I'm also not a Rams guy. Because if you remember the Saints in the NFC West, that was a rivalry too.
Yeah.
And always smoked it, right? So that was just part of those years of being a Saints fan and even, the bags and everything. Yeah. So, but I will say this, man, the Rams, Marshall Faulk is on that long list of the Rams. I was, doing this. It's like, dude, how many great running backs have played for the Rams? It's just awesome. Yes. You can almost make this a list of just Rams.
Just Rams.
Because of just the and there may be some that show up later. There's one who, we said Marshall Faulk played in Indianapolis. The guy who came after him may be on the list here too, on someone's list. Who knows? There's just it was a good era, man, for running backs. I think every era has kind of got its own thing.
Guy that came after him in St. Louis might also be on here.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of.
And that came after that guy in St. Louis might also make it out here.
Now, another thing that we really love to point out is that our athletes, when they're done with their athletic career and they go into TV, I enjoyed Marshall Faulk on like NFL Network. I thought he was a good analyst. He's fun to watch there too. So, dude. Hats off. Great pick, man. Coming in hot.
I applaud it. Good job. We're starting fast. I mean, look, we're on the turf. We're moving.
Man,
touchdown. Andy, look, man. Look, right on time. What's your criteria? And let's just restart this 3.
I mean, we don't have to overthink the criteria. I enjoyed watching this player, just like you said before. Like this is a position, Justin, where it's like, all eyes are drawn to this, right? We could do a boring show. And as a football, if you love football, like you love offensive tackles and you get all that stuff, but nobody cares about the big. I mean, from a mass appeal standpoint, unless you're like a football nerd, you don't really care. The running back is the sexy pick, man. It's the
one, man.
The eyes are there, man. It's all about that. The unfortunate thing is that a lot of them, because of the amount of the workload that they have, you don't have this long, illustrious career unless you're a very select few running backs have had that. One of them that I'm thinking of may be mentioned today.
I got a nugget. Yeah, I got a nugget that may get mentioned later.
Exactly. So, but from a criteria standpoint, I enjoyed watching them. They brought something to the game. And then I also weighed in, like, not only do I enjoy them, but if I were to have this 4 as my like running back by committee, it would just dominate. Like this is because each one of my guys kind of brings something different to the table, because the running back is not just running the ball. I mean, there's so many different things that are involved with that. So many different skill sets. And with my Rosie, I don't think this is against the rules.
Right to jail, right away.
Right. Because this is actually my only player who is still active. I am picking a guy who is still playing the game today. And he is a freak of nature. Can I tell you that? And let me just say this. Roll Tide, baby, because we're going Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is, listen, if I were to play defense, there is not a running back that I am more afraid of coming downhill at me than Derrick Henry. 6'3", 247 pounds. The dude's an outside linebacker. Like, what in the world? This guy's huge. So I looked up stats. Again, he's still playing, so this is being added to, but 8,300 yards, 1,700 attempts, 78 touchdowns, 127 receptions, 1,200 receiving yards, 81 total touchdown. I mean, the dude has got a solid career. He's playing in Tennessee. This is the crazy thing. A lot of times you see big backs, and again, I don't want to mention names because some may be mentioned later, but they're not known for their breakaway speed. But when Derrick Henry gets past that first line of defense, dude, good luck. Good luck at that point. I mean, it's just pray, I guess, is all you can do, because that dude gets.
Who want to touch him after that? Who want to touch him after he get past that line?
You've seen the stiff arms, dude. He embarrasses. He ends career.
Josh Norman.
That's exactly
Norman. Like, dude. Josh Norman. First name comes to mind once you said Derrick Henry was Josh Norman. I was like, embarrassing.
Yeah. So that's my pick, man. That's my Rosie.
Hey,
that's a nice pick.
I hate this pick. I can't hate this pick anymore. I drafted this guy for the very first time in the history of my fantasy leagues, right? And because I have to admire how good he is, but I bump all that Roll Tide stuff. I almost lost my Christianity just now. Bump all that Roll Tide business, and that guy he looks like he needs to be in WWE. I mean, I mean, first off, I've never Googled this, but is his mom Wonder Woman? Is she a glamazon? What is happening with his parents? Look, me and Banks were talking today. There is a young man. He is in first grade. He's in first grade. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to get fired. But this young man is Derrick Henry's size in first grade. And
first grade.
Somehow or another, I am going to be the blind side for that young man right there. I'm about to make some money. Dude, where do these find people that big? It's crazy.
Yeah. Right.
The picture of when they were with Alabama and Derrick Henry is standing. Now, granted, he's in his gear and everything, but he's standing next to Mark Ingram, and the size difference.
That's crazy because Mark Ingram's huge.
But Derrick Henry is.
It's crazy. It's crazy to see him live. Like just see him in person. Like you'll be like, oh,
his elbow up on top of him, right? Look, all right. So let me get started, man. Look, I'm going to just tell you, I started loving football about 1990-ish, right? 90-ish. That would have put me at about 12 years old. And around that time, the Saints were horrendous. They were terrible. They hadn't won anything. And I started playing this game behind me right here, Super Tecmo. Super Tecmo. Now, at that time, everybody wanted to play Bo Jackson, bro. Everybody wanted to be Bo. And I wanted that because I was a huge baseball fan, a huge Royals fan because of that. The only team I ever cheered for other than the Yankees was where Bo Jackson was. So that was Royals, White Sox. But every time I played, 10, 11, whatever, I could never, ever beat the Chiefs. I would go 14-2. I'd win the Super Bowl, but I'd lose my 2 games to the Chiefs. And I'm going to start my thing going right now. Listen, coming in hot because it's why I'm a Chiefs fan. Listen, I had 3 guys here. The other 2 I just wiped off, and I said, you're going to have to be on my Benjis. I'm going with none other than the Nigerian nightmare, Christian Okoye. Dude. He is why I love the Chiefs. Back then, it was Derek Thomas, Steve DeBerg, and Christian Okoye. Now, look, he didn't have a long year. He played for like 5 years. He's got like 40 touchdowns. He only had about 5,000 career yards. There's a several times, like he was ridiculous to tackle. He was the Derrick Henry back then. And I know Steve Atwater. I don't care about Atwater, but listen, there's so much out there about Okoye just being just dominant, the Nigerian nightmare. Couple all pros, NFL rushing leader in '89 with 1,500 yards, which was his best season. He was 6'1", 260. 6'1", 260, and he ran like the wind blows. He ran like Forrest Gump. Dude, I just love this guy. It's what started my Chiefs love back in 1991, 92. And and guess what? I started going 16-0 in Super Tecmo Bowl. So I beat Bo Jackson. There he is. But had to start it off there. I can't believe I knocked off my 4 guys. I just cannot believe, but there's only enough room for 4.
Christian Okoye, the pride of Azusa Pacific University. Who else? But dude, great pick. Not only was he massive, 6'1", 260 is stupid. Like that's big. But
that's crazy.
Back then, the shoulder pads and they just like Brian Urlacher. Like what is this? I love looking at that old stuff, man. But this is a good pick. I knew that you'd have a Chief in here. I was debating like what Chief are you going to throw in there. This
I was too.
Oh, they're so
some other really good ones, man.
Oh, yeah. I might have
I
some
don't
more.
want to say a Chiefs name because I don't know if it may appear.
Might have some more. That's all right.
That's what I said. I don't want to say another Chiefs running back.
But
I thought you was going to say.
this is my dog.
It may
My
appear.
dog. The only reason he's that
appear.
is because he didn't have a lot of stats. He didn't have a long year. He didn't have lots of years, but it is the reason I have such a big fandom. And it started all playing a Nintendo, man. Seriously. And at that point, I didn't understand what it meant to cheer for your hometown team. I don't care. Listen, if you're a Lions fan right now, right now you're in heaven. But for the last 50 years, right, it means a lot to your city for that team to not only do well, but just to play. And I realized that later with the Saints and really locked on and been a big fan of them. But Chiefs was always my first love. Saints, I was kind of brought into the fold because of where I lived. But, man, that's round one. Rosie is down. Now it's time for TJ Jazzy Jeff. Now, look, TJ Jazzy Jeff, Thomas Jefferson, Banks, we don't need a criteria. We can, like, literally just jump right in and just get going. Your timer's going to start right now, so let's go.
All right, my TJ is Adrian Peterson, man.
All day.
Adrian, all day.
Adrian,
I looked at that 2012 season, that 2012 season by itself, like coming back from that injury, then you almost break the record of over 2,000 yards rushing. Like he had 348 attempts, 2,097 yards.
Jeez.
That was crazy. 8 1,000-yard seasons out of 15. He haven't really officially retired yet.
No,
really.
He hasn't really officially retired. Like he's still a free agent sitting out there. Like, hey,
the Lions, ain't he? Actually,
yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, that was the last.
That's the last he played with.
No, Seattle.
Okay,
right. It was Seattle.
He was a Saint too for
a Saint for a little bit. Yeah,
and Alvin Kamara came in and ran him out.
I'll tell you something about Adrian Peterson. I love Adrian Peterson coming out of college. I was a fan of his. He is in my upper half of Benjamins. He is worth every mountain, any mountain you ever want to go on. But I'm just going to tell you something. Kind of like you, Andy, with the Rams that you just mentioned. These last 10 years or so of watching the Vikings go with Kirk Cousins and garbage team after garbage team and then beat the Saints in the playoffs. I just don't want to name a Viking right now. I would rather name it for you, Josh Richardson, because when he was a Redskin coming back from that season, that was a eye-blown, like, wow. The stuff that was kind of going against him with the child abuse stuff.
Yeah.
That's a little tarnishing. I'm not going to lean on which side I'm for, but I will say this. It kind of sucks that you're in such a place where you're in such a limelight where those kind of things come to light. Yeah. I just hope everybody's all right. So
I will not add many comments to that other than good pick.
Well, that's a little foreshadowing. All right. So you are up for your TJ Jazzy Jeff. Should I just start this timer right back up?
You can start the timer, but I'm going to change it up. So for my first pick, I picked a massive human, right? For my TJ Jazzy Jeff, I'm going to pick one of my favorite running backs of all time. Played for the Saints. We let him go way too early in his career, had way more gas in the tank. I hated that move. Darren Sproles. Darren Sproles is my pick. All of 5'6", a buck.
Hold on.
6,
Time out.
190 pounds.
I was glad when you all let him go before his time was.
I know you were. I know you were, man.
Y'all, I mean, oh my God, he killed
still
us
had a great
so many
career.
times.
You know what was surprising to me though, and I obviously Darren Sproles I knew was not going to rank in like top 10 yardage of all time. Dude's only got 3,500 career rushing yards. Like
how many receiving yards has he got?
But yeah, in receiving yards, he actually has more. He has 4,800. So he's a great 8,000 all-purpose yards. But look, here's
the count the return yards.
Yeah, so then there's the kickoff return. He's got 8,300 kickoff return yards. So he's it's crazy, right? 8,300 yards. That's insane. That's 830 trips up and down the football.
I love this pick.
I'm gonna bring something back later about that one too.
I love this pick because I know this is somebody that you really love. But in my mind's eye, just like the Chiefs, there are probably at least 4 running backs that I like more than him from the Saints.
No, look, here's the thing. I when I'm picking my list, I'm thinking again a stable of running backs now too. I got the kick returner guy. I got the elusive back now in Darren Sproles. He's the multi-purpose. He can hit you from any way. The dude is one of the fastest players I've seen play. When he gets speed, good luck.
Them screens.
Dude, the screen game.
Kept that screen game. He killed it. He killed it.
Living off of him. I mean, literally. And he replaced somebody else who he made a living off of. So
yes, absolutely. So Darren Sproles, to me, one of the most electrifying in my time. Right now, take this with a grain of salt. I'm not calling him Barry Sanders. Let me just tell you that I'm not saying that. But I didn't grow up watching that. Like I've seen highlights and all those things. But this is one of those guys, when the ball got in his hand, anything could happen. You just don't know. He was going to make magic happen. So love Darren Sproles. Obviously, the Saints tie into it also. I had to pick him.
Nice.
That's a good pick.
Out of Kansas State, baby. Kansas State.
I like that. I like that pick. Yeah. For the small guys. He ran for the small guys. He ran for the small guys.
Mine.
I'm bigger than Darren Sproles, and I am nowhere near getting a football.
Look, well, I'll jump in on mine, and I'll finish our first half of the mountain already, right? I'll finish our first half of the mountain, and I'm going with a guy. You guys all know I'm a Chiefs fan, but I'm going with one of their biggest rivals, and I am going with the Horned Frog, LaDainian Tomlinson. From the San Diego Chargers.
Go Chargers, go.
Listen, I could not be a bigger of a guy who played on a team I hate. I cannot be a bigger fan. This guy is an amazing human being. He is. You mentioned Marshall Faulk a minute ago. He is much like Marshall Faulk. He was in the same stadiums. I mean, they played against each other, same type of back. There was a time where he broke the touchdown record of receiving and rushing, and he broke the rushing record. So both of them in the same season. Fantastic.
I don't see that record change. I don't see that record getting broken.
From TCU was a big deal back then. Now, I mean, there's good players coming from TCU all the time. I love LaDainian Tomlinson. His the LT references. I remember just that. Who's the best LT and all that. But as far as running backs go, one of the first I thought of, LT.
Great pick.
That's a great pick
that I won't add much to.
Well, that is also some more foreshadowing. Sounds like we're going to have a little fun later, but it is time to finish off the first half of the mountain and jump into our commercial break. If you have been around long enough, you can go back about 4 weeks ago and check out our Rushmore of commercials. But until then, check out this gem from back in the day.
80s. Upon playing Madden for the first time, Darian Foster and Marshawn Lynch Sr. start an epic rivalry that will shape football in the modern era. They realize if they raise sons to be elite NFL running backs, they can use them to school each other in Madden. A unique and highly unorthodox conditioning program
Hey, don't scratch my car.
becomes the crux of their training.
Run that bear over. That's that beast mode right there. Hey, push it out. No pain, no man.
Today, the Suns have become the offensive threats of their father's dreams, spinning and juking their way to Madden domination.
He might have learned that from my son. He ain't learned nothing from your son.
A season 25 years in the making. Madden NFL 25. Rated E for everyone.
EA Sports. It's in the can.
Welcome back, Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top four and nothing more. What a fantastic commercial that was. But if you've been hanging around here long enough, you know that it is time for you to hit the subscribe, hit the like, go down all the comments, tell everybody how terrible their picks are and how awesome Kirk's picks are, because you guys are all loving my picks so far. But until then, if you have somebody else that's better, don't waste your time and watch and not share your opinion. This is all about opinions, and they're all, yeah, we know how that goes. But until then, we have a little quick announcement. We've had a blessed time joining the Culture Box. And Andy is here to share one of our favorite friends over at Culture Box and let you know about how to support them. Andy.
Man, you may remember a couple weeks ago, we had our good friends from the Cellcast join us here. We're going to be joining their show in a couple weeks, talking about one of my absolute favorite horrible movies of all time, Warriors of Virtue. But let's tell you all about the Cellcast, man. The Cellcast hosts, Jacob and Drew, they review animated movies and TV shows, discussing what they appreciate about the medium in whatever form it takes. Whether it is a traditional hand-drawn animated movie, claymation shorts, or a 3D CGI series. Check out some animated reviews when you subscribe to the Cellcast at thecellcast.podbean.com. And don't forget, Cell is spelled with a C and a single L at thecellcast.podbean.com. Go check them out. Good friends. Love animation, love cartoons, love movies, kind of like we do. And we talk about that plenty of times. Look, we were just at RetroCon getting some nostalgia hookups with some cartoons and just all those feels and everything that was happening. Man, video games, all that cool stuff.
Hey, quickly, congratulations, Jacob, and getting ready to spend the rest of your life with your beloved fiance. That just happened this week. Congratulations to Jacob, and welcome to the family. All right, Summit Squad, since you're here, let's see what's on the other half of this mountain and keep going to the top. And you are up, Justin. You are ready to bring on your link. That's Abraham Lincoln, number 2 on the list. Where are you going with your pick?
Well, this is going to be a Crushmore with you, Kurt.
Let's
go. Rushmore with you.
Nice.
Your last pick, LaDainian Tomlinson. LT, that was my guy.
Dude.
That was my, like, I went back and forth with him at 1 and 2. Like, he was my guy. My next two, these are like my favorite. These are my favorite.
I mean, Tomlinson. Backs. I mean, he again. I think
you said, that 28 rushing touchdown season, like, I mean, by itself is like, what do you want? He had 11 NFL seasons, 8 1,000-yard seasons.
Crazy.
That's
back.
Crazy. That's crazy right there.
For a running back, like you can't do much. You can't do much more.
So I forgot he had a cup of coffee with the Jets. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But he spent 8 years with the Chargers, 14,000 yards, another 5,000 receiving, 145 rushing touchdowns, 17 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
He was a Pro Bowler 5 times, first team All-Pro 3. He won the MVP in 2006, single season rushing record, 28 with 31 total, 2,000-yard club. Probably the greatest Charger of all time. I mean, it's not even probably close, but also TCU guy. So
yeah. And like you, Andy, you said when you said Darren Sproles earlier, like that's how I was like, man, he was his backup.
Yeah,
honestly,
LT
he was
and
the third
Sproles.
man on that. He was the third running back on that one team.
Yeah,
because he still had Michael Turner coming before him.
Yeah.
So like that Chargers team around that time, you got LT, then you got Michael Turner, then Darren Sproles.
That running back room was legit.
Like that room was legit. And
yeah, it was nice.
Michael Turner came to Atlanta and he did his thing.
He
showed why he should have been a number one running back as well.
Yeah.
I did hate playing against Michael Turner. I hated that very much.
Yeah, I didn't ever like Turner. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I appreciated the Chargers for not running him in the ground before he came to us, so we could do that because we did.
Yeah, I'm totally for this pick. Obviously, it's my guy. But man, what a fantastic! You're bringing back some core memories. That's our kind of one of those favorite things we like to talk about. But that running back room was pretty nice back in the day, back in the gap. Yeah, it was pretty nice.
I think that was one of the best celebrations, like touchdown celebrations. Just him getting the end zone.
The little finger roll.
Yeah.
Andy, you are up. Now, I'm pretty sure with your track record that you just had that we're in for a Rushmore. I just don't know which one's here.
Here's the thing. I kind of gave everything away without giving it away, but there's going to be a lot of repetition that's happening here. And I'm going to go for my link. We're going 6'1", 217 out of the University of Oklahoma, AP, Adrian Peterson. All day. This dude was a stud. Now, much like you, Kirk, I never been a big Vikings fan, although I did enjoy that one game where Brett Favre threw her across his body.
Brett Favre goes back to pass. He pumps. Now he fires over the middle. Intercepted. I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
And we picked it off, pretty much sealing us going to the Super Bowl.
Which is your favorite quarterback of all time?
I love Brett Favre. I love Brett Favre. That's part of the reason I love him too. Thank you for sending us to the Super Bowl, Brett. Appreciate you. But yeah, no. So Adrian Peterson,
that was a stressful game for me.
You cannot deny the greatness of Adrian Peterson. The dude is one of the greatest of all times. Let me remind you, November 4th, 2007, against LaDainian Tomlinson's San Diego Chargers. In that game, Adrian Peterson racked up 296 rushing yards.
I forgot about that.
That's crazy.
That is a record.
There are running backs in the league who their career haven't reached 296, right? Like
we talked about some one-year wonders last week. There was a couple guys on there. They had one season of like $1,000, and then they had 7 seasons totaling that one. Right
exactly. So, dude, there's so many things to be said about this guy. He topped Jamal Lewis's 295 that was set in 2000.
Hey, that's a good pick. That's a good pick.
But anyway, we've all talked about it. 1,400 yards, one of the all-time rushers, 3,100 attempts, 125 touchdowns. The dude is just – I don't know what else we can say about him. There was a window of time where, again, this guy was everything. You're talking about Madden. He's in the 99 club before it was really a thing that was happening. This dude was just unstoppable. So you got to go with Adrian Peterson, man.
I shared my bit about him. Fantastic player. If you're talking about top 4 running backs of all time, he's in the conversation.
Yeah.
When you talk about a GOAT conversation of running backs. For favorites, I didn't hate him.
Also,
especially loved him when he joined the Saints for a little bit. But
he was a little.
He's just there is just a lot of. I've watched a lot of football in my day, and he wasn't on any of those teams or players or that I was just gravitating to. But yeah, great pick.
Was it? Am I mistaken? That he was the last non-quarterback MVP? Is that correct?
Possible.
I think might be right on that one.
That was 2012. So we're talking
about 2012.
It's been quarterback. Adrian Peterson, it says a lot, man, for a running back to be the MVP. That's
coming back from that injury.
Yeah.
And coming back from that type,
yeah.
it was between him and Peyton Manning, like
Exactly.
coming back from both of those injuries. It was like
he put up the best years ever off of most people's career-ending injury. Like he put his best.
You come back and do that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, AP all day. Got to go.
Yeah, all day.
All day.
I agree with that pick. I love that pick. So, I'm not mad at you for having him at number 2. He was.
Listen,
I love that pick.
In there.
Listen, there's enough beef between Atlanta and New Orleans. I'm trying to be agreeable in our pick. Benjamins might send it a little different way, but it is what it is. Kurt,
I love it.
Over to you, man. Your link number 2.
What do you got?
All right, man. So these are my guys. Look, let's go back to last year. We talked about your our top. If we were to put together our top football team, whatever team we'd put out there, and man, I had this guy in the running, and I had another guy in the running, and LaDainian was also the other one. Those are the 3 that were bouncing around, and I cannot have this conversation without crushing with Banks with Marshall Faulk.
Yes.
Look, I had to bite my tongue and talk about it. I'm so excited. I forgot to touch the button, as I always do. Marshall Faulk, dude, greatest show on turf is exactly right. 2 years back-to-back, over 2,000 total yards. The guy played for 11 seasons. It's 12,300 yards, 100 touchdowns, 7,000 yards.
One of a few running backs that got 1,000 receiving yards in the season.
Yes.
Like that's what put him in my Rushmore. Like once I saw that,
I wish he would have stayed in Louisiana, even if it was at Tulane, ULL. He's a Louisiana boy. Love the fact that he went to the Colts and did something there, and then they shipped him over to St. Louis, and he brought them back to prominence. I'm not a St. Louis hater, but I'm not a guy that loves them. I do love the jerseys that they had back in the Super Bowl time. I love Kurt Warner. I love those wide receivers. I loved everything about those 2 years. Now, Ezra will come out here and tell you that's the greatest football team ever, but it's not. But Marshall Faulk, fantastic. Just a fantastic player. Aztecs. I have his San Diego Aztecs college football card in mint condition.
You would have it.
Wow.
Absolutely. It's one of my pride.
They was the ones that kind of pushed me over to the offensive side. Like, I really enjoy the offensive side. Like, they put that greatest show on turf, they put me onto the offense. Like, just watching Kurt Warner, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, then you got Marshall Faulk coming out the backfield. Like, they did it for me.
Listen, I'm just not as much of a fan on that. I appreciate it. I like Kurt Warner's story. I mean, who's not going to cheer for Kurt Warner?
Yeah.
Now, that's another thing, dude. Listen, before being saved, I didn't really value those things. Now that I'm saved, now that Jesus has done such a work in my life, seeing his story and how much not only was he Christian, but he professed it from the very top of the mountain. And now he's awesome. He's also another guy I like watching. But
speaking of Kurt Warner, one last thing about Kurt Warner. I know that's not what we're talking about. The movie that came out about him, I just appreciate that the actor that they got to play him looks like Kurt Warner when he retired, playing Kurt Warner is in the 90s. Right?
Hey, uncultured swine here. It's in my box to watch. I haven't seen it yet, but I know the story. So it's one of those things, right? So, all right, man. So we're to the George. This is your favorite running back ever. Where are we going, Banks?
This one says Todd Gurley. I'm out of here.
Get ready to run. I'm just playing. No, like I said earlier, 89 was a great year. 89 was a great year. This guy, he's my favorite running back. He's been one of my favorite running backs for forever. I did a project on him when I was in elementary school. I'm an honorary fan of this team because my uncle was lived up there, and every time he came down Thanksgiving, they was on the TV show. They was on TV, 12 o'clock, every Thanksgiving. And they're on my TV right now. The team is on my TV right now. Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
Barry Sanders.
Yeah, thank you.
He was the one that introduced
this thing without mentioning the GOAT.
He introduced me to football. Like he was my introduction. Like that's football. That's the running back. That's football.
Let me tell you,
like he carried the team.
Oklahoma State, just fantastic. I mentioned this last week about David Boston. This might be one of those Mandela effects, but I remember, again, same thing with David Boston, that somebody said, I think it might have been one of those football science things, that always came on ESPN, and they would measure out people and whatever.
Yeah.
They said that his ankle should not take the torque of the juke going back and forth, that no human being should hold their body like that. I remember seeing that, but I remember he would run 100 yards, 50 this way, 50 this way, because that's the fin. And then he'd pick up a 20-yard game and he'd run out of steam at about a 25-yard run, but he literally ran 125 yards to get that 25.
To get that.
He didn't have good top speed, but what a fantastic, he's way faster than me, but there were many times he got caught, got run down. But his left to right is insane. And, he's the only Lion I've ever liked. And he was on my mountain. He actually started at the top and worked his way all the way down.
But with Barry Sanders, 10 every year in his career, he rushed for 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
For somebody to carry
hey, look, I'm going to go and say these names just because I'm pretty sure, I'm gonna test the waters. I don't think Andy's gonna say either one of these guys. But aside from Jim Brown and Walter Payton, maybe O.J. Simpson, there is not another great running back like this guy. When you talk about play the game, you're instantly gonna get the yards you need. It's Barry Sanders. It's Barry Sanders all day. All right, Andy, who's your George, man?
Okay. So here's the thing, man. I am gonna pick. I almost feel like I want to change it up. I had a guy on my George, and I want to do a last minute George change. This is gonna.
Wait, so that means your guy falls from 1 to 5.
He does. He's already been picked.
Oh man.
I'm taking LT off of my list because look, again, not because he's not the great. He was going to be my George, but we've talked about him plenty of times. I'm killing the opportunity of having a triple Rushmore, and I'm going to go true to my criteria of these are just my favorite guys. And here's the thing. You want to go back to Andy Ricketts back in the early 2000s is where I was at.
Do it.
Favorite running back of all time, Deuce McAllister.
Yes.
Deuce McAllister is my favorite one. Listen, when you hear Deuce,
the deuce is loose.
The deuce is loose, man.
I hated hearing that.
I know you did. But here's the thing, dude. This guy shouldn't have had that. 6,000 career rushing.
Ole Miss, baby.
9 touchdowns. Ole Miss, 234 receptions, 1,700 receiving yards, 5 receiving touchdowns. If you're going to say greatest of all time, Deuce does not. When we talk about Saints running backs, he's up there, dude. He's absolutely. He's got to be number one. He's my
1,
favorite.
2, or 3. He's in the top
best.
3.
He's the best. I moved him. I thought about it, and then I was like, dude, I know that Kirk's going to want to take him in Benjamin's if it doesn't happen. I'm picking Deuce McAllister. Here's the thing. 3 1,000-yard seasons. He was a Pro Bowler. The guy was not going to be the MVP. He was not going to be that guy. But can I tell you, dude, I remember There's times where I watch Saints games and I'm like, man, if we had a running back like Deuce, where it's like the last 8 minutes of the fourth quarter, the other team's not getting the ball. If we had a lead, dude, just keep running Deuce. The game was over. It was over.
They're not getting it back.
Yeah. So,
oh my God, you don't know how many games I just sat and watched, and I'm just like, man, can y'all just stop, dude?
They can't do it. I mean, like, he didn't bust off like 19, 20-yard runs. It was
the ones that y'all needed. It was always the ones y'all needed. Y'all needed a yard. Y'all needed just give me 5. Just give me 6. And who's gonna give it to you? Deuce is gonna give it to you.
Right. Deuce was the guy. Also talking about it as a local thing now. Deuce is now he announces the Saints games too on our local radio. I love hearing Deuce talk. He is totally, obviously he's New Orleans. That's his team, but he is not afraid to be like, dude, they suck, man. This ain't working. Like if you ever listen to him local here, he will tell you how it is. So I love Deuce. He's a local guy enough, Mississippi.
So if I'm building a Rushmore of Saints, right? He's at least in that mountain for sure. Favorite running backs, he's on my Benjamins. Great pick. Love the guy. Got his autograph. I got his autograph on a picture, in a picture frame. It's pretty awesome. But great pick. Now it's my turn. It is my turn. And you know what's crazy is I'm a Chiefs fan.
Oh, what? For real?
You know what is also crazy? I'm picking another team that hates the Chiefs. And I already said his name. And I'm going with Bo Knows Everything. Bo Jackson. Listen, I don't care what anybody says. This guy was one injury away from not getting an injury, or being away the greatest athlete of all time. Athlete. I mean, just the most phenomenal guy I've ever seen. I mentioned him earlier about Super Tecmo Bowl. Everybody loved Bo Jackson if you're 40-something years old.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
Everybody loved playing with him. The game was unstoppable. He was OP. He was the 99 before 99s were 99s. He just, whatever it is. But talking about him, he played both sports. We did a commercial back. We're talking about commercials. Bo Knows Everything. He hurt his hamstring, his quad in a Bengals tackle, and never came, or the hip flexor. Yeah. And can never come back from the dislocated hip. Played for the White Sox, played for the Royals, did all those things. One of my favorite human beings of all time, Vincent Bo Jackson. And look, I was a huge Raiders fan back then. And I say huge, like I wanted to be a Raiders fan. I love the whole idea of them painting their faces and all the spikes and everything. But when I switched 100%. It was like, I'm sorry, I like Bo, but I'm moving to Kansas City, which I kind of liked because I was a Royals fan. And I was like, Royals, Kansas City. It makes more sense. I didn't start the timer because I love him so much. Boom. But, Bo Jackson. And when you brought this up, it was like, okay, who's after Bo? And it got real tough.
So many
that was a good pick.
Yeah, that are just outside of my era of a – yeah. You can appreciate him, like, looking in hindsight.
And I would give you a whole bunch of stats, but he doesn't have it. All you got to go to do is watch highlights. Go watch the highlight against Seattle when he runs out the stadium. Go watch him run over Bosworth. Go watch him play the game. He loved the game. Then he'd catch a flight and go hit a home run.
I was about to say, watch him playing baseball.
It was phenomenal to watch. It was phenomenal to watch.
Just in half, breaking the bat. Whatever did he do?
Yeah. It was that was.
So, Vincent Bo Jackson, that's my George. Man, that's our mountains. These are some great mountains. What I love about this? We crushed so many times. My list for Benjamins is about this long. Yeah. So let's not waste any time because I have I'm still trying to figure out who I want to even say right now because there are so many.
Oh, I know my first one.
No.
All about the Benjamins. Let's get it. Welcome back to the Rushmore show. Now it is time to do all about our top four, but just a little more. We're going to do all about our Benjamins. This is our honorable mention time. If you've hung around us long enough, it's football time, so it's time to make a draft. We're picking. You, Banks, have been given the number one pick of the draft, which also lets you have Mr. Irrelevant at the end. We're going to snake draft this around. You're first, Andy second, I'm third. We can't crush, can't mention anybody we've already mentioned, can't mention anybody before. Who are you going with the first guy, Banks, that you think should be on the mountain?
Like I said, Marshall Falk took him off my top four, but I have at my 5, I have Frank Gore.
Oh, yeah.
Frank Gore.
Dude, Frank Gore is like 60, and he looked at 16 at like he was 60, and at 60 he looked 60.
And just 16 seasons, man.
Frank Gore. I'll tell you this. I'm a huge fan of Gore. Problem with him, he was a Niner.
Yep.
Niner. Aside from the Falcons, the 49ers are my second worst favorite team. I hate them. I can't stand them.
Man.
All right, Andy. Who's your first pick?
All right, I'm going to see if I can do this on this trend. I'm going to pick my favorite. This dude might be one of the best on the mic. I love this guy. Who dat, baby? We're going Mark Ingram. Mark. I love it. Roll Tide, too. Roll Tide.
Hey, I like him as an analyst now, too. Like, dude, he's done good. That one game I was like, okay, I can watch Mark. I can watch Mark.
All right, so I'm going to do this just to make sure he's out here, right? And since we're doing it, right, I'm going with Super Bowl champion. Bring out the baseball bat. I'm bringing out Reggie
Bush, baby. Yeah.
Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush. Now look, I mentioned it earlier. Darren Sproles was the poor man's Reggie Bush, and Reggie Bush caught a lot of flack because he was drafted number 1. But if he had been drafted number 20, we would have loved him. But go moving along. My number 2, the guy that I took off for Christian Okoye, going with my other chief, Jamal Charles.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's not who I was thinking about.
So I thought Jamal Charles, I thought he was going to go to. I'm going to really see if I can do this. My next pick is going to be one of the guys who brought relevance to the Saints, whether you like it or not. We're going with Mr. Rastafarian
Ricky
on an island. We're going Ricky Williams himself.
Ricky
baby.
Williams, dude. You're just gonna hammer Banks the whole time.
That's all I'm doing.
Hey, no, because he was on mine.
Banks, you get 2 picks back to back. We haven't heard of Falcon yet. Where's them Dirty Birds?
Oh, don't. Hey, it was coming right here, and I was about to cheat right here. This was my cheating. This was where I was going to cheat. This is where I was about to cheat on you. I'm sorry, but I have to do it. They went by DVD, but it was. I got to go. It was a 3-headed monster back there. You had Warwick Dunn, Michael Vick, and T.J. Duckett. That DVD, the combination of those 3.
So let me get this straight. Are you picking the 3-headed monster for 1 pick, and then you're getting another one?
Yeah,
okay. Or are you picking 2 for 3? Okay, so you got one more. Go ahead.
Okay, so one more. I got to put this one in here too. Terrell Davis, man.
Oh yeah.
Terrell Davis, man.
There you go.
Broncos country. That's right.
So look, I named my favorite Charger. I named my favorite Raider, and that would have been my favorite Bronco as far as going against them Chiefs. But yeah, there you go, man.
All right, so the next the next running back off my board. I just wanted to do it, man. I've never seen balance like I've seen in this running back. I've never seen footwork. He's another active player currently on the Saints roster, Alvin Kamara. The dude's balance is stupid, ridiculous. So
I hope he can come back to prominence. I hope he can come back to prominence. All right, man, I'm going to finish this thing off, and I have to do it. The other guys that I knocked off this list, these are the other 2. Here they come. Very first one, I'm going to have to go with Mr. Priest Holmes.
Mm-hmm. That's who I thought you were talking about.
Mr. Priest Holmes. Now look, Jamal and Priest Holmes were like neck and neck, man. One had the greatest year. One of them had the greatest touchdowns. whatever, it's like salt and pepper. They go really well together. And then I'm going to go with the one that disappointed me, but he's still one of my favorite. It's the first jersey I ever owned. If he would have never held out, you held out. Why? But I'm going with Larry, not Grandmama, Johnson. Larry Johnson from the Chiefs.
I thought about him too.
That's my first jersey I ever owned. I wore it 2 days ago at school to open us up. So that's my picks. All right, Andy.
Last one for me. Crucial role in that 2009 season for the Super Bowl. We're going with Pierre Thomas. Pierre Thomas. Talk about screen game. That dude was unstoppable in the screen game. That guy was insane. So anyway, got a touchdown in the Super Bowl off of a screen too. Beat Peyton Manning. Come on, baby. Anyway, Pierre Thomas, my last pick. I got 4 Saints for my Benjis.
Well, I took another Saint from you because I knew you were going to call him and threw out some Chiefs. All right. Banks, you got Mr. Irrelevant. Who is he?
I'm about to hurt y'all feelings with this one.
Do it. It's okay.
I'm going to hurt the Saints' feelings with this one.
Uh-oh.
Marshawn Lynch. Beast mode!
Dude, I remember Kirk. I remember watching this game as it happened. And much like when you came over when we lost to Minnesota in the playoffs, we didn't even talk after it. That happened, and I turned the TV off. I wasn't like yelling.
This is a true story, Banks. Look, our thing's over. This is a true story. Hey, Rushmore Community Summit Squad, check this out. So I go over. We go to watch the Saints Vikings game, right? And it ended with the Minnesota Miracle with Diggs and the craziness that went down. And we kind of just stood there and we looked across the room and we looked back, turned the TV off.
Kirk
I don't know that I even said goodbye. I just grabbed my keys. Talk to you later.
I went to bed. I went straight to bed. I hate it.
Oh, man. But that tackle, that run and him jumping in, I'll give him props. It was one of the best runs of all time. Matter of fact, Bean, old John, had to bring it out in back in Rushmore last year. I can't believe he did that, Saints fan. But Banks, good pick, man. First off, Banks, thanks for coming on. Thanks for being a part of this thing.
Of course.
Summit Squad. Welcome Justin to the squad, man. Welcome to the team. But hey, let's chat what's coming up next, man. So we are done with RetroCon, and everybody, dude, we've got so many shorts waiting for you. We've got some Rushmores, right? We're rushing here, so we got some Rushmores coming your way from the Louisiana RetroCon, but we're not done. We have St. Tammany Collectors Con in about a month from now, coming up for us to spend time back in Mandeville, hanging out at the Castine Center, doing it again for our second time. And right around the corner, we will have one of the guys that we met from St. Tammany Collectors Con. We're going to have none other than the comic book artist of the Saint, if you will, the Saint. He's a Saints fan. And we'll have Daniel on. Make sure you check out that episode. Tentatively, we are talking about really laying out the GOAT, which, man, that's a tough conversation. But and then we're going to finish off the mountain with football personalities. Man, talk about fun. If you watched football last weekend and Neon Dion coming out and doing a little Prime, Coach Prime, right? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about football personalities. That's how we're going to end off this year. And we have a great October and November and December ready to jump into 2024 for our third year. I can't believe it. We're almost finishing up our second year. Andy?
Guys, go check out Culture Box, man. All of our friends, Retro Rewind, Cellcast, Geek Devotions, we talked about last
Playing Games with Strangers.
Just so many awesome things that are in there. Go check them out, support them. And check out Cellcast in just a couple weeks. September 15th, we are going to be on with them talking about the Warriors of
We're
Virtue.
filming live on Facebook, talking about bad movies. Warriors of Virtue. Warriors of Virtue. If you have not seen this fantastic film, and you happen to like Power Rangers or Kangaroos, Down Under, make sure you watch this episode because we are reviewing that. And also, we're reviewing the X-Men cartoon, 2 episodes for them on their show. So look, we're going to be live over there at the Cellcast. And man, what a great time with hanging out with our friends. So, Andy, I think it's about time for me to finish watching this football game.
Yeah, I think it's time to say goodnight. Let's say goodnight. Let's say goodbye to our Summit Squad like we always do. This is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top
4
and nothing more.
Peace.